Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon, should I say. Welcome to this, our second Tech Bites, and really delighted that we've got another 5 really exciting, innovative products to talk to you and services today. Yeah, welcome to this one. And just to sort of give you some sort of housekeeping rules and let you know what's happening today, we are recording this webinar. So if you miss anything, you can go back to it and review it on our on-demand service, which is on your screen now. So we'll share the website with you for that. Also, all our speakers today have provided handouts, which you can see. You should have a handout panel on your control panel. So if you wanted to download any of those, you can do that now and during the presentations as well, and we'll send them to you afterwards as well. So just to let you know about those. It's an interactive webinar today, so we'd like to have questions from you, which we'll put to our panelists at the end. You can either type in your question, which you can put into the box here on the screen, or you can raise the hand signal, which then means we can come and turn your microphone on and you can talk directly to any of our presenters. So obviously you can ask as we go through the webinar, but also we'll do all the questions and everything at the end. And we'll read those out for you, or you can ask directly. Also today, just to introduce our speakers, so we've got Nick Atkins will be first up from Positive Impact, and he's going to be talking about Hydromed. Dan Jobber talking about Oculus, and Bob Gakani talking about Easy Drops, and Ian Hughes from Associated Optical talking about Eschenbach, and David Burke is joining us talking about mental health training. So really welcome to everybody. Really glad that you could join us today. And I'm also joined again by Jayshree Vasani, who together we've been talking over the last few weeks about how the industry wants to connect really during these difficult times. So hello Jay, welcome again. And I'm going to turn on the camera now so we can see you. I hope you're well. How are you? You okay, Jay? Okay. Jayshree, are you there?
Fire.
Are you okay?
Just to share my screen. You can hear you.
Okay. So good. We've got a yeah. So I hope your Wi-Fi is going to be okay. Cool. We've got a few technical difficulties there, Jayshree. So, should we kick off with Nick? I'm just thinking. Hopefully, it will come in. And can you hear us okay now? Okay. So maybe what I'll do, Nick, is come straight to you, and hopefully Jayshree's Wi-Fi improves it a little bit. But so welcome, Nick, and delighted you could join us today. Obviously, wanted to find out a little bit about you and what you've been up to in the lockdown. So let me turn on your camera. Hopefully we can see you. How are you, Nick?
Good afternoon. I'm fine, Nathan. Yourself?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. So yes. So tell us a little bit about your 2-minute introduction about yourself and also what you're here to talk to us today about.
Yes. I believe I had to do a life hack, a book or an app as well as part of my introduction. And for those of you that are looking at my my background and wondering if it's some kind of strange sauna type environment that I'm sitting in, it is actually a log cabin at the bottom of my garden, or as I like to call it, an executive log cabin. It's where I work, and this is probably not a hack, but I found myself working from home probably 18 years ago now, after I left Bausch & Lomb, and then I started in consultancy. And like many of you in lockdown, I found myself in a corner in the house, and it wasn't really working for me. And then I was on a train traveling to London, and I saw this ad for these log cabins, and I thought, perfect. So since 2003, I think we built it over Christmas 2002-03. Into the new year, my brother-in-law and I erected this cabin, and I've been working here ever since, and I can highly recommend it. My commute is literally a joke about my commute down to, you know, the pathway sometimes gets a bit slippery or covered in leaves at certain times of year, but compared with most people's journey to work, of course, that's all going to change. But it is nice to be able to close the door and switch that off. And so as well as being a nice place to work, you might be able to occasionally hear the birds singing outside. It also is a place I can close off, and the house is the house, and my workplace is my workplace.
Fantastic.
So I want to talk to you about, just to give you a bit of background for those of you that don't know Positive Impact, we have a range of products. We've worked for a number of companies, and we also have our own range of products. It started in 2013. Some of you may know about the Glass-Clar patient loyalty refillable lens cleaning system. We've subsequently developed what I like to think of as a best-in-class dry eye portfolio. We have diagnostics and we have treatments, and one of the advantages of being a distributor is that we can pick and choose the products that we sell, and we've kind of worked quite hard to make sure that the products we have are differentiated in the marketplace, whether it be the diagnostics like Inflamadry. We also work with Tearlab, and then we have the treatment options from drops, which I'm going to talk about our new website today, through to lid care products and even supplements for dry eyes. So without further ado, I will, if we can switch to my, so I can access my slides.
Did you want to do the quick poll, or should we do that at the end?
Oh, yes. Sorry, I do apologise. Yes, I'd like to do a quick poll.
Right, I'm going to launch that now. So hopefully everyone can now see. So, yeah.
I'm going to be talking about a new home delivery option for your patients for their dry eye products. And so I'm interested in how many of you out there currently facilitate home delivery to your dry eye patients. If you've got the various options, obviously, no, we never do that. Sometimes, yes, we do, and that's usually via the practice, in that we ship the product from the practice ourselves, and obviously that incurs the postage costs. Occasionally, and you might use a third-party supplier to do that, through to more regularly promoting that service to your customers, through to, I think, what it might be considered the gold standard, and something I would encourage more people to do, that you have some kind of subscription service, a direct debit from the patient every month, and that includes all maybe their dry eye care, but ongoing supplies. So if you'd like to tick the one that closest represents your business, that would be really useful. Thank you.
Okay, so we've got a good number of people have voted, so I'm going to close that now, Nick. Okay. Do you want the result now?
It'll be interesting to see the results, yes, just to understand who I'm talking to and where they are in the process.
So 70% have answered no, never, and 30% yes, occasionally via the practice, and no one has ticked anything else. So there you go. So I'm going to close the poll now.
Okay, thank you.
With that, I'm going to share. So Nick, I'm going to your presentation now. So I'm handing you control. Hopefully you can share your screen. Brilliant.
So can you now just see my slides?
Yep, ready to go.
Perfect. Okay. So this is a unique concept. Hopefully the eyes aren't freaking you out too much, but what I want to talk to you about is a business to consumer website with what we call a commercial conscience. It never ceases to amaze me, really, that one thing is that practitioners put patients onto products, and often these products are very readily available elsewhere. And we take it to chance, to a certain extent, that the product we put the patient on, they continue to buy from us. I mean, one, whether they continue to buy it, and two, whether the chances of them buying and from the practice. So it's important. We sell a range of products, as I say, best in class. And one of the important things we do is we only sell into the independent sector. So we think that that returns the profit ultimately to where it belongs. And that's really the concept of our website. Many of you will be familiar. This is a picture I took of a Boots fixture not so long ago, sometime last year. I don't imagine it's changed very much. And some of you will be very familiar with the brands on the shelves and will be stocking them yourselves and recommending them to your patients. I have no issue with the with that from the point of view of you will make a judgment call as to the products that will best suit your patients and that you believe work. But I think particularly now we might be thinking slightly differently and with maybe a bit more of an eye post-COVID on our own business and our own margin and our own profit. And of course, it's reckoned at the moment that 95% of patients end up buying elsewhere than opticians. And I wonder if you would take out the multiple sector, who probably do a reasonable trade in eye drops as well, maybe the independent sector aren't even getting 95% of the sales that fundamentally they start in the first place. Another surprise for me is the number of suppliers. All of these suppliers will sell you their products direct off their website. And I just find that amazing that suppliers are very willing to effectively bite the hand that feeds them. So you recommend their product and they're not shy in encouraging patients to buy it direct from them. And of course, they make a very large margin from that because they only have the cost of goods involved. So they're making even more money out of patients buying direct than they do through selling through opticians. So I guess why wouldn't they do that? So our idea is really that we want to cut out they're cutting out the middleman effectively. And what we want to do is cut in the middleman. So the clever thing that I think we've done, if I do say so myself, is we've developed a direct consumer website that delivers drops to your patients, but at the same time delivers profit to the practice. It makes purchasing for patients that visit independents more convenient. So whilst we only sell to the independent sector, I think, and if you chose to buy a product that's only available through independents, you're not necessarily making it convenient for them to purchase because they have to come back. And not all patients, well, in lockdown, they couldn't come back. Subsequently, they might not live local enough. You might not be in an area where they regularly visit. So it is inconvenient. And what we're trying to do is make it convenient. You encourage the patients to visit our website and buy online, and you will be reimbursed as a result. So the other thing I think it does is it encourages patients to buy bulk supplies. And I think it's fair to say that as practitioners, we're not always that good at encouraging upselling, getting people to buy maybe 3 months at a time. Most patients, in my experience, come in and buy a bottle of drops and then cut. So if you're going to buy a bottle every month, you're literally making 12 visits in the current modality. So Hydromed, I just want to touch on Hydromed. Some of you may know the product, some of you may not. And I just want to, we're starting with our website just with Hydromed because it's our best-selling line. And it's doing very well for us because it's a unique patented product. It uses the tried and tested and what once upon a time I would say was gold standard in HA, uses a very long molecular weight, high quality HA, but it combines it with a unique and new or relatively new, it's actually been around a few years now, tamarin seed polysaccharide. The unique benefit of TSP is that it's mucomimetic. So it works at a different level at the ocular surface and it actually helps improve the condition of the ocular surface, and we've got lots of data supporting reduction of staining and repairing of the ocular surface. It comes in a couple of formats. As you would expect, it's preservative free in a 10 ml multi-dose bottle that interestingly is the only bottle, preservative free bottle approved by the MHRA, and also in a vial format. We have these reclosable daily doses, we call them vials, which means you take the top off and you can reseal the drop and reuse it during the day, maybe 4 or 5 times if you need to. So far less expensive than the single dose units that should get thrown away. Whether they do or not is another matter. The other product I will just mention, it's a different formulation, is our Hydromed Night Sensitive, which is also available on the website. The unique part of this lubricating ointment is that it's the only product on the market now that is lanolin free. So any patients who have sensitivity to lanolin can safely use this nighttime gel. This is what the patient will see if they go onto the website, and what you'll see is we're selling these 3 lines in 3, 6 and 9 months supply. So the question you may well have, well, what is the benefit to the patient of visiting this website? How will I guarantee that they will visit? Well, you can't guarantee it, of course, but we do put in place a number of things to motivate them. So, for example, on the Hydromed bottle and vials, they get 10%, more or less 10% free product if they buy on the website. So they're getting a little bit product. We don't want to discount the price, but we're happy to add a little bit of value in that they get. So if, for example, if you buy the bottles, you'll get a 3-month supply of the bottle, you'll get 10 daily dose units free of charge. Through to at 9 months supply, you'll actually get effectively a free month supply. So a 10-month supply actually is 10 months for the patient. So how does it work? Well, the first thing you do is we recommend you stock Hydromed and you sell the first bottle. That way you get a return on your recommendation. You could, if you're not currently stocking Hydromed and you prefer not to, one of the advantages of this model is you could just give out a free sample that will provide you, and then the patient subsequently goes and buys online. That way you don't have to buy any stock, you don't have the cash tied up, but you'll still get a return on the patient when they buy. You then issue them with a card. Hopefully, I can't see myself, but hopefully you can see a card that I'm showing you, which has got the website address on it, and it's got a space. I've written a code in that space. Each practice will have its own unique identifying code that we'll provide you. And when the patient enters that code, they will get free delivery of the product to them. That's their incentive, really. The incentive is that they can go on the website and know, I think what most of us hate as purchasers online is having to pay for delivery. So we cover that cost, and we'll ship the product direct to the patient. So the patient will use that code, and they will continue to use that code every time they visit the website. So it's not just the first purchase, but subsequent purchases. Every time that patient goes online, buys the product that you've recommended them, you will receive a rebate, which is your part of the profit for the recommendation in the first place. It's not all about the rebate. There are lots of other benefits. I touched on one already. For the practice, there's no need to buy or stock and sell the drops if you don't want to. Certainly you could cut down the number that you are holding in stock, which is reducing cash tied up, which certainly as we start to return to business, cash is king at the moment, as we all know, and my business, just as much as any other, it's been about managing cash flow, and that's important. And I think by giving the patient, the genie's out of the bottle with regards to, I will finish in a second, I heard the alarm, with regards to patients going online. I think in the COVID situation, most patients have found that they can buy their contact lenses and their drops online. And I think if you encourage them to go onto our website, hopefully it'll stop them looking around and finding other websites where the product is available without you getting involved and getting any return on that. They're effectively a lost patient to you. So these are my contact details. That's a photo of me pre-lockdown when I didn't have the beard that I have now and shorter hair. You can contact me at Nick at Positive Impact. The details of the rest of the company to get through to the offices at the bottom. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thanks, Nick. And I've seen we've got a few questions, quite a few questions have come in, so we'll save those up for the end. So that's obviously you've got people's attention there, so that's really good. Cool. Jayshree, hopefully we can hear you now.
Yeah, hopefully you can.
Brilliant. Okay. So
good stuff. Okay, that's great. Thank you, Nick. For those of you that don't know Nick, and I'm not sure there's many of those people, Nick has been around for a good long while. Started his career as a jobbing dispensing optician and contact lens optician. Did 10 years at Bosch and Lomb, and then with proven track record, he did the really successful Independent Day conferences, if you remember those. His passion for contact lenses led him to become a past president for the BCLA and a past board member for Abdo. So he comes with, good credibility, and he knows what he's talking about. Thank you, Nick, for that. Cheers. Let's move on to Dan.
Dan, so hopefully Dan, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Brilliant. Hi, Dan. How are you?
Hi, Dan.
Very good. Nice to meet you both.
Good stuff. Okay, so Dan has nearly 20 years experience as a recruitment consultant in healthcare, but for the last 9 years as a founder and managing director of a company called Black Square. He specialises in the optical recruitment market with the aim of finding the very best eye care professional in the most difficult to fill locations. Okay, our industry at the moment is going through an unprecedented change. So if you're a locum or you're looking at practice sale, buying or selling, then Dan might be the person for you. Over to you, Dan. 2 minutes on yourself and an app or a life hack or a book, please.
Thank you very much. You've covered quite a lot of there. So yeah, 10 years recruiting at Black Square. And yeah, we're marketing practices for sale. We currently have a socially distanced viewing happening at the moment. So
Oh, wow.
there's still some activity happening there, and fingers crossed for that one for us. And more recently, we've utilised our extensive network to help people find locums with our online platform Oculist. So, which I'll talk to obviously about in a minute. Life hack. I guess reading. I read a lot of books, and embarrassingly so. Okay. Mainly sales books and self-help books. I think I just read Hustle Harder by 50 Cent. But on the other scale of that, and the book I'd like to recommend to everybody is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, which is about being present in the moment. And I find that's really helped me through lockdown. Obviously, we all have very difficult decisions to make. And obviously, I'd be interested to listen to Dave later with regards to mental health.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so, great. So do us a favour, Dan. Once we're all done dusted, if you could put those 2 books in the chat box, just in case people want to look back on, that'd be great. Okay, absolutely. Are you ready for your 5-minute pitch?
I'm ready for my 5-minute pitch.
Okay.
Right. So I'm really excited to talk to you about Oculist, our locum management platform. I was told initially to outline the problem, but I think the problem with recruitment, I've only been allocated 5 minutes, and that could probably fill a book, to be fair. Nobody really knows what the new normal is going to look like. I speak to a lot of business owners, people at all levels within optics, and I think once we're going back to more routine eye care, some things that people are going to be introducing is limiting patient numbers, limiting contact, obviously the use of PPE, and potentially having teams like an A team and a B team that are within their own bubble, so using a bubble. And then in order to see as many patients as possible, I'm sure there's a lot of patients out there that are getting to an urgent situation with their eye care. Stores are talking about opening for extended hours. So those last 2 areas are going to require some planning when it comes to your staffing. We are definitely the easiest way to find, hire and pay locum resource. We have an extensive database of qualified professionals, and more importantly, we're fast, and that's going to give you the competitive edge over your competition when it comes to attracting a temporary workforce. Just on that, one of our users added his day in his home office on a Friday night, added the day that he needed, and by the time he'd walked down the stairs, already had an applicant for the day, so I had to walk back up the stairs and confirm that booking. Now, if you were in the real world, a recruiter might not be available on the phone on a Friday night, and you'd have to wait till Monday. You're also in complete control over who you have work for you. You select the locum that applies for the role, so there's complete transparency there. And obviously we can be up to days quicker when it comes to selecting candidates for you. Another area that is really important is compliance. So all of our locums are verified before they can even apply for roles. You need to obviously do your 2 clinical checks, which we do within the system. You need to do your national performance list and insurance checks. Again, Oculist can do all of this for you. And more importantly, are your right to work document checks. Now, there's a up to £20,000 fine if you get this wrong. Currently, under COVID operating procedures, you can perform these right to work checks online. So if you're managing your practice potentially remotely, you're able to, with the use of Oculist, perform your right to work checks legally, and so you can manage your whole practice remotely there. You're able to share working processes and procedures with the locum before they arrive to work for you. So before they even enter the store, they'll be fully prepped and understand your processes and procedures, again, enabling you to do that remotely. And recruitment can be subject to Murphy's Law a little bit, I guess. We're dealing with people. And one of the biggest pains for locum recruitment is cancellation. So if for any unforeseen reason a locum can't turn up, they can notify Oculist. The system automatically emails every available locum that we've had a cancellation and the days become available again. It notifies you, the client, and it notifies me. And it lets you know the steps that it's taken in order to fill that vacancy. So the best case scenario there is that another locum can apply for the role, you confirm the booking, and really with very minimal human impact or touch points, we've filled the vacancy very, very quickly. So solving any issues there. You can rate locums, you can invite specific locums to work for you. Invoices are generated automatically. It's free for locums to use always. And during the COVID lockdown, we've been free for clients as well. And we have another week where we're free for clients. So please use that. Ordinarily outside of, we only charge if we find someone for you. And that's a percentage of the fee that you would pay the locum. It's a web-based platform. You can use any internet-enabled device. Just go to oculus.co.uk, and it's suitable for any size of business. Yeah, so whether you've got one store or 500 and as many users as you want, there's no additional charge. Yeah, that's it for Oculus. Don't forget we do practice sales and permanent recruitment, and we are adding HR services to our list of services. Obviously, we're all operating under quite difficult circumstances, and any errors with employment could be quite costly. So please get in touch on the details shown there if we can be of assistance. Thank you.
Perfect timing. Absolutely perfect.
Okay, brilliant, brilliant. How about that for time? That's as on time as you can get that, Dan. Brilliant, well done. Good stuff. Okay,
and you should
I
be
was
able to
listening,
see,
but the bandwidth again is moving around. How much does this platform cost, Dan?
So currently we charge 12.5% of the amount that you pay the locum.
Okay, that's fine. That's okay. I didn't know whether you want to say it or not, but I think that's something that people might sort of do. Okay,
Pretty
great. Thank
transparent.
you. Okay, brilliant. So any questions, please put them in the chat box, and we'll move on to Bob. We got Bob.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, Bob. We can hear you.
Oh,
Just hang on there. Dan needs to come off. There we go. Let's see if we can get you back on. Just share your camera. That'll be great. Okay, let's just see.
Oh, there you go.
We have. There you are. Well done, Bob. Hiya. Okay. Right. So Bob is an interesting character. Yeah. Is there a bit of a? Are you okay? Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. So let's start. So Bob is an interesting character with a day job as an IT corporate sales manager, looking after people's data in a career spanning 20 years. But a eureka moment 2 years ago has led him down a completely different direction. So tell us more, Bob. 2 minutes about yourself and your app or life hack.
Thank you, Jayashree. Yeah, as you can see, the picture that's currently presented is a little bit different from the COVID one, isn't it? Sharing a little bit of a stubble and a beard. So in terms of a book, I think the best one I've ever read, again, all about business, is the one about the empire of Sony, and written by Akio Morita, the owner of Sony, which I've always found very inspiring, actually. As Jayashree said, I've been working in IT now for over 20 years, and interestingly enough, as I've grown a little bit more sort of mature in my older years, I started having hay fever 2 years ago, and going through that process of trying to put eye drops in your eyes, like most people, I just really struggled. My eyes just constantly closed and rejected it. So I looked around on the market thinking, is there an easier way of doing something? Whatever I found seemed to be clunky and cumbersome, and not easy at all. I also looked at my father. He's 83 now. He has arthritis in the hands. He's got a frozen shoulder, and he's got glaucoma. So it's imperative that he administers his eye drops on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And it's then that I started thinking there must be an absolute market for something that's so, as long as it's functional and easy, for people to be able to buy something that's almost a no-brainer. It's a low cost point, low price point, and helps them relieve this pain of trying to administer the drops into their eyes. So that's how the sort of background is in terms of how I've developed the current product, Easy Drops. Here they are.
Okay, great.
Come in 4 different colors.
Are you ready for your 5-minute pitch, sir?
Yes.
Okay, so we will start the timer and off you go.
Yeah. So as I said, there's the products. They have been technically approved by Boots actually, and due to COVID, it's currently sort of delayed in terms of moving the products forward to market. So I am currently venturing out into the market and sort of trying to bring this to market in many different ways as it is here today. Nathan, would you like to do the introduction video?
Struggling putting your eye drops into your eyes? Always finding that the drops never drop directly into the eye and you keep missing? Frustrated? We have the perfect solution. Easy Drops. Easy Drops is a simple to use eye care applicator that helps you put eye drops into your eyes. First time, every time, right into the center of your eye. And the clever part is that you won't even see the drop coming. Getting fast, effective relief is that easy. No mess. First time, every time. It's also just as easy to help a friend or loved one put drops in their eyes, like a child or an elderly individual. Eye drops made easy with Easy Drops. Check out easydrops.com today.
Thank you for that. You'll see the product is so ergonomically designed that what it does is it actually fits neatly around the eye, such that it doesn't allow any light to come in. And it's also universal. It's got a universal top, so allows you to put any size bottle that we've currently tried and tested over the last 2 years, any size bottle into the applicator. In terms of putting the eye drops in, I'm just going to quickly demonstrate. All you need to do is put the bottle into the applicator. Again, lean back as far as you can so that the applicator is flat on your eye, and drops, and it just literally drops into the center of your eye. The excess you can just wipe off. In the same way, you can use the same applicator, well, one that's washed, into administering for other people. So if you're a carer for children or older people, and here's my son TJ. So we're just going to do a little demonstration. Just move sideways a little bit so everyone can see. And if you just look up, again, with carers, it's good to make sure that you're looking at the other eye, making sure that they're not blinking at the same time when you're administering the drops. So again, all you want to be able to do is just put the nozzle into the applicator, look back as far as you can, ask the person to just look up at the ceiling, and you just press, and you saw that little flinch, and you know it's gone, and it's as easy as that. and it's really that simple. And trying to do it otherwise is just not going to be possible. But you saw how quick and easy that was. Nathan, do you want to move on to the slides?
Yep.
You can go now. Okay. So it's a unique patent pending design. It's a universal applicator, works with almost any eye drop bottle, even the vials that we mentioned earlier. As the product is, it helps you put eye drops in first time, every time with no fuss. It really is a no fuss applicator. As I said previously, that's been technically signed off by Boots. That whole process has taken a year so far, but COVID's delayed elements of that. Moorfields Eye Hospital, when I went to see them, amongst all the other products they have, said it was the best one, the best applicator that they'd seen, and they hope to train their staff using Easy Drops. And RNIB are currently testing the product as well to see if they can stock it on their online store. So that's me over and done with. For any trade inquiries, which I'd really appreciate, if anyone wants to get in touch, there's my contact details, and otherwise you can apply through the website at easydrops.com. There are retail sales on Amazon, and so far all the reviews are 5-star, which I'm really proud of.
Brilliant. Well done, Bob. Thank you very much. So next is Ian. Jay Shree.
Yeah,
I'll let
here
you.
we go. Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. So let's have a look. Let's see. Oh, hang on, that was my alarm there. How about that? That was my little alarm. Hang on. Just hold on. There you go.
So Ian.
Cancel.
There you are.
Got
Brilliant.
you. Right. Got me. Hang on. Let me just mute myself for a minute there.
You okay, Ian?
Very good, thank you. Yourself, Nathan?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good.
Excellent, excellent.
Now, there you go. I'll know not to do that again. Okay, so Ian. Ian Hughes is the business development manager for Associated Optical and has been with the company for 8 years, developing CET courses and finding ways to communicate solutions for people with low vision. Ian works with eye care, business to business, and charities. And a DO heart beats in this chap who likes a challenge. Over to you, Ian. 2 minutes on yourself and your life hack or app or whatever you want to, or your book, whatever you want to do.
Perfect. Thanks, Jay Shree. So yeah, quite rightly, I've worked for Associated Optical for the past 8 years, and before that, I was in high street practice for 7 years before that. So 15 years in optics. So it's a long time. And what I want to talk to you about today is how Associated Optical can support you, and why it's important to have a magnification portfolio in practice to support your older members of the community, should we say. So Associated Optical, if you don't know, we are a UK-based company. We're based in South Buckinghamshire, and we're the UK partner for Eschenbach. And we've been doing that for 37 years this year. And so we've been working with you guys, providing training and patient-centered solutions regarding devices and aids. One of the things that I'm really, really excited about is the fact that we've just launched a new Cocoons UK website. So Cocoons are fit-overs that are the company California-based, and we took on the distribution earlier this year, and we've managed to get the website all up and running so that we can kind of go out to practices, so they can be listed on there, and they can then have people directed to practice to view them and to try them on with that. So exciting times. But today we'll be focused on more why you should have a magnification portfolio practice, but focused on digital. And we'll have a look at some digital products with that. So one of the things that I'd like to offer as a life hack that works for me is I like to sing. So I like to kind of the top of my voice, usually when I'm driving, to either let off steam if you've kind of had a bad day or can kind of need G'ing up, then sing at the top of your lungs. I know you might look a bit crazy when people are driving past you, but it seems to kind of let off a bit of energy and just kind of make you feel a hell of a lot better.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. Okay, are you all set to go
Also
with your 5 minutes? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Off we go then.
Perfect. So I'm going to keep this snappy because I've got 2 great videos that I'd like to show you at the back end of this. So firstly, why should you have a digital magnification portfolio in practice? So firstly, you have the patients that need them. So you've heard many times that there's over 2 million people in the UK that have got sight loss, but do you know how many you've got that are local to you? So for instance, if you're in Essex, there's over 64,000 people suffering with sight loss. If you're in Somerset, 33,000. South Yorkshire, 34,000, over 10,000 in some London boroughs. So the need is there. So if not you, then who? So these are products. So these are products that you can't get from the hospital. So doesn't it make sense to buy an optical product from an optician's? So having these in practice is obviously a no-brainer. So we heard Nick and Dan both mention that businesses are going to look at different ways of increasing revenue and that chair time might be limited. So having a digital portfolio means you can increase that revenue because this can be delivered by your dispensing opticians. It can be delivered on the shop floor. Good margin. So gone are the days where you are making £1.50 or £2 on a pre-pack magnifier off the shelf. With these, we could talk about margins and things later on, and you can ask the questions as necessary. Make yourself a destination, set yourself apart. I think being able to offer a full service from early awareness with an OCT to management through spectacles, optical aids, fit overs, through to digital devices would make you a destination store where people would want to come to. So speaking of devices, I've got 3 to go through today. Like we do with our own technology, our mobile, our tablet, our laptop, they all have different needs and different uses. So the first thing here I'll show you is the SmartLux Digital. Simple to use. This is an absolute must for practice. You literally pop it over the top of what you want to see. You can change the color here. You can make it bigger. Dead simple. It's lighter than my mobile phone, to be honest. It's a similar kind of size. So 100% the SmartLux Digital. This is in the handout. Have a look through it. We can go into more detail. What I'd like to show you now, though, are 2 videos. So this was the 5-inch. We've got a 7-inch HD and also the Vislux XL 12-inch that Nathan's going to play for you now. Okay, so that was the 7-inch. And what we're going to do now is go into the 12-inch, because as we know, everybody wants a bigger magnifier, be it optical, be it digital. And so now using the Vislux XL, you can see a lot more on the page as well. Excellent. So there's a couple of little tasters of the digital magnifiers. What you can do is my details will come up, so you can contact the office, you can give me a shout. Obviously the email address is on there for you as well. But thank you for everyone for listening and for watching. There is a handout you can download with all the new devices on there, including the new portable device, the Vario. So thank you very much.
Brilliant. Great stuff. Thank you, Ian.
Thanks, Ian.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So now Dave.
Okay, have we got Dave? Yes, yes. Have we got you, Dave? There we go. Ian's off. Let's see if we can get Dave back on.
Dave's, I think he can hear us. Dave, you there?
Ah, and we can see him as well. What a treat. Hi, Dave. You okay? We can't hear you.
I think you may need to wiggle your cable again.
Okay, let's just see. We'll just try and see. Yeah. Here we go.
Not yet.
Just check your mute and unmute, please, Dave. No, we still haven't got you there. Let's have a little look. Let's have a see. So we did have Dave before. We had him speaking as well as picture. No, not happening. How are we doing?
Should we?
1 minute, yeah. Don't worry.
Yeah,
don't
we'll
worry.
give you 1 minute.
That's
J3, do you
okay,
want to
no problem.
tell us a bit about Dave whilst he's trying to?
Sure, no worries. Yeah, let's do that. So with Dave, we had Mental Health Awareness Week last week. Okay, and in this current COVID-19 situation, we know that as we slowly return back to the new norm, this epidemic will still be there. You know, we're still going to have this epidemic of mental health. So Dave Burke is a mental health first aid instructor, okay, and a mentor and a speaker with a degree in zoology, interestingly, but he has spent the last 21 years as a pastor. In the last 3 years, Dave had a slightly different calling. and he's going to tell us about it once we can just get his mic working. Let's see.
Still not working, Dave.
Okay. So what we could do, Nathan.
Yes.
Oh, hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Oh,
Great.
that's lovely. I think I must have a problem with my USB connection. I apologise
That's
for
okay.
that. Sorry.
I've just done your intro, Dave. I've just said that you know, you've spent 21 years as a pastor, but in the last 3 years you had a slightly different calling. So you want to do your 2 minutes about yourself and your app or life hack or book.
Okay then. Well, as JC's mentioned, my previous work was in churches and with charities for several decades, and throughout that time, mental health has been more or less a constant theme. The mental health of the people that I work with, people within the organizations I work with, or the mental health of the people that we've been trying to reach out and support to. So more recently, since I retired from that kind of job, I've been working with setting up a credit union, running a food bank, and a drop-in service for asylum seekers and refugees. And some years ago, I was looking for a way to train the teams that I work with in ways in how to support people with their mental health, how to recognize when people were struggling with their mental health. And that was when I came across the 2-day mental health first aid course. It had just arrived in Britain a few years ago, and the NHS were pushing it, and the Scottish NHS were actually paying for people to do the course. So I did my course free in Glasgow, which was great because it didn't cost me anything. Unfortunately, I did it with 16 youth workers, and I didn't understand anything they said. But it was a good time, and it gave me something that filled that gap. So I trained as a mental health first aid instructor, and I've been instructing, as Jessry said, for the last 3 years. So I've got a life hack for you, and it's the word CLANG, C-L-A-N-G. It's called the 5 Ways to Wellbeing, and C-L-A-N-G is how I remember it. If you want to look that up afterwards on the internet, you'll get links to the Cabinet Office website. This post is produced by Mind, the mental health charity, and the Cabinet Office. And CLANG is just my way to remember it. C-L-A-N-G. C is for connect. Maintain good friendships with people that you're able to be open with. L is for learn. Always be pushing your boundaries back. A is for be active, even if it's in a modest way. Just stay active, do a bit of activity every day. N is notice. A little bit earlier on, we mentioned being in the moment, and just take a bit of time to look at something or enjoy something or reflect on something, just to be calm yourself. And G is forgive. Giving money is the way of subcontracting our giving, but this is actually to give personally engage with others, because engaging with others and supporting them helps us in our well-being as well. So 5 evidence-based ways of nurturing our own mental health.
Brilliant. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, that's great.
We've done a poll, haven't we?
Yes. Yeah. Do you want to do the poll, Nathan?
Yeah, no problem. So I'm going to launch it now, and we'll give everyone maybe 30 seconds to do this one.
Okay.
So should be on your screen now.
Yeah, this is just me trying to find out if you've had any input on mental health.
Good stuff. Do you want to sort of talk through while it's on the screen?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for some kind of structured training in the field of mental health and well-being. Yes, in the last year I've had that. Yes, in the last 3 years, second option. Yes, in the dim and distant past, or no, never.
Brilliant. Okay, we've got a high percentage here who've answered already, so I'm gonna close it now. So the answers. Do you want the answers now?
Oh yes, please.
Okay, so we've got 6% in the last year, 3% in the last 3 years, 10% in the dim and distant past, 81% never.
Right. That was kind of the answer I was hoping for. So
yeah,
thank you very much.
that's good news, isn't it? Good stuff. Okay, are you ready to go, Dave? We'll start your 5 minutes whenever you're ready. Should we go? Go.
Thank you. Well, mental health first aid isn't the only course available, but it is the only course that's regulated by the Royal Society for Public Health, and which is recognised internationally. There's about 36, 37 countries now that have their own version of the mental health first aid course. When I was looking at this initially, I was very influenced by a TED talk by an Indian psychiatrist called Vikram Patel. If you look at TED and search for his name, Vikram Patel, you get a 15-minute talk on what makes perfect sense. There are not enough psychiatrists to go around. There are not enough mental health professionals to go around. But what if we train lay people in the skills they need to support people in the workplace, family and friends? That would change the dynamic of caring for mental health, people who are suffering with their mental health in India and certainly in the developed world as well. So why do this? Because mental health is important, yes. We're all aware of mental health, yes, but we need to replace that awareness with real knowledge. So what is good mental health? How do we maintain good mental health? What are the forces that cause our mental health to break down? What do we do when that happens? How do I support a colleague or an employee? And ongoing, where do I get more information from? I might find a good website or two, but how do I know that they're really good sources of information? So mental health first aid courses exist to replace awareness with knowledge and skills. And I believe from my own experience, they're the best courses going. Evidence-based knowledge is what we need, that's constantly revised in the light of recent research, and proven skills are what we need that make a practical difference to the support that we offer. In the courses we do, we get feedback. I'd like to read you a little bit of feedback from a course I did recently with a group of people who run children's homes in the northeast of England. So this is a children's homes worker. Following the first day of the course, I went to visit a young person I worked with. We talked about his depression and how he was currently feeling, and he disclosed to me he'd attempted suicide the previous day. As I covered depression and suicide that day on the course, I felt so confident and calm in the support I was able to offer the young person. I wasn't scared, and I didn't feel as though I needed any support from managers to deal with the situation. I've done lots of other training before, but this time I really felt as though I got it. I think it was the mix of the knowledge and passion of the tutor, that was me, and the practical work that we did that cemented my learning. People give really, really good levels of feedback from these courses. And someone who does the course will come out with three things. One, a good understanding of the pathology of mental health, the things that go wrong, like anxiety and depression, suicide prevention, personality and eating disorders, self-harm and psychosis. That's the pathology. But there's a high proportion of input on positive psychology. That is not what's wrong with us, but how can we keep what's right with us going right ongoing? How to maintain good mental health. And I've just given you an example of that in Clang, the 5 ways to well-being. There is, by the way, in the handouts, a poster about the 5 ways that you can use yourself afterwards. So that's the second thing, positive psychology. And the third thing is a clear action plan to support others who are struggling. That lady was supporting someone in quite an extreme crisis. Most people aren't in an extreme crisis. How do I support somebody who's suffering from a milder version of a mental health issue? So mental health first aid courses come in a variety of shapes and sizes. I teach adult mental health first aid and youth mental health first aid. The mental health aware course is a half-day introduction, which focuses on self-care and supporting others. And I can do that online as well in 2 separate 2-hour bites. There's a 1-day mental health champion course, which is similar to the half day, but just take things a bit further, looks at the pathology a bit more in a bit more detail. And our flagship is the 2-day mental health first aid course, which from today is available online on Mental Health First Aid England's very own online teaching platform. And I think the content of this revised online course is actually really, really excellent. I'm almost done. I'm just going to tell you about a friend of mine called Paul. And I met Paul when he was a medical student at Imperial College in London. Bright, sociable, active. He graduated, got married, had some children, and shortly afterwards started to behave a little bit strangely. And friends were encouraging him to go see a doctor, trying to support him, trying to get him some professional help. He found that a problem because by this stage he's a consultant psychiatrist, and in his own words, he stigmatized himself. But he did go and get some medical help, and with the help of his doctor and the support of his family and his friends, that got him through. And if you met Paul today, you'd have no idea at all that he has serious mental illness. He's happy, he's sociable, he's where he was before to all intents and purposes, and yet he's actually struggling with quite a difficult disease to handle. Mental health first aid is about creating a mentally healthy workplace with well-informed people who are able to support people like Paul so that they can thrive. That's what we're about.
Brilliant.
Thank you there.
Thank you very
That's
much.
great. Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's his slide. There you go. That's how to get hold of Dave.
And you can
Give you
contact
just a
me through
minute.
our website.
Yeah, yeah.
Dave
Just give you a minute. People want to take that down, Dave. Brilliant. Thank you so much. That's great. Okay.
So yeah, so I think we can move on to questions. We've got quite a few that have come in. Obviously,
Indeed.
keep typing questions if you want to us to ask them for you, and if you want to turn on your microphone and talk directly to any of our panelists, then if you raise your hand, you can do that as well. So I'm going to invite everybody back now on camera. So Bob, Dan, Ian, and Nick, are you able to turn on your cameras for us? Brilliant. Okay. Jay, should I do the first one? So the first question I got on here.
Yeah, do the first one.
Is one for Nick. So if I'm a stockist, may I add my unique code on my practice website, as my customers often go to the homepage for offers and latest information? So Nick yeah. You're on mute at the moment, Nick. Can you turn on your mic? Nope, still can't hear you.
Looks like you can hear me now.
Got you. Yep.
Yeah, I can hear now.
Right, yes. I'd not thought of that. Seems like quite a good idea, and why not? The identifier is unique to the practice, so that's the key thing. It's the entry of the unique identifying code that ultimately identifies to us whose patient that is that's ordered from the website, and thus triggers the reimbursement cycle, if you like.
Okay.
Brilliant. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, next one.
Next one, we've got what percentage profit do you offer in the practice? That's Nick. There you are. There's a good one. There you go.
Yeah,
straight
absolutely.
up there.
Not shy in coming forward. We'll happily have that conversation. Yeah. I think what I will say is that there's a couple of points. Obviously what we're doing is sharing between ourselves. We make our margin, the practice makes its margin. We have some costs of delivering the service, including sponsoring the delivery. So it's fair to say that the margin received is lower than if you bought and sold the product yourself. However, you don't have to buy the product if you choose not to. I think the other thing with it is that you're more likely to get greater volume of sales, and thus the margin starts to add up into significant value as your patients continue to buy from it, because assuming they're getting a good service from us, we're used to shipping products to home. Contact lenses, we've been doing our contact lens products to home throughout the COVID-19 situation. So the patient, there's no reason for the patient not to, having had a good experience, continue to buy online on a continued basis. But we'll talk to each individual practice. We'd like to have a conversation to answer any more questions and certainly talk about the margin side of things.
Okay.
The key thing is, I guess the margin is better than not having the sale at all.
Yeah, good. I've got a question that's come in for Dan. Dan, are you on microphone? Can we hear you?
Oh, can't hear him.
Hi, Dan.
Okay.
Yep. Dan, so the question's come in here. What does a right to work check need to be?
Okay, so it's a legal requirement set out by the government that there's a few documents that need to be checked. Really, if you've got a UK passport, that will work as your right to work check. So pre-COVID, the employer had to physically check the document in front of you, take a copy, make a note of the time and date that they've done that. Current operating procedure is they can do that online. So they can look at the document that you've uploaded to Oculist, and then they need to do a web chat with you, and you hold your passport up for them to do that. Yeah, it's a legal requirement set out by the government. Anyone who employs anyone should be doing those right to work checks. Imprisonment or a £20,000 fine if you get it wrong. They're probably worth doing.
Okay.
Ouch,
Jez Green.
I would say there, Dan. Yeah. Gosh, that's quite a hefty fine. So so basically the important thing is that, you know, this is when people when you start a new job, people say, oh, can you bring your passport in and stuff like that. That's what you're saying, isn't it? Which people sometimes often, you know, think, oh, I don't need to do that bit. That's fine. Just get the locum in and we'll get moving.
Yeah, now, it's pretty unlikely that an optometrist is going to fall outside of that, but if it does happen, you could be in quite serious trouble. So it's worth it.
Indeed. Yeah. Okay. I've got a question for Ian. I was listening to what you were saying, and you were saying make your practice destination practice. Okay, that's an interesting sort of way of putting it. But what you're trying to say, or can you just expand a little bit on that?
Oh,
can't hear you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, just to expand upon it is that what we want to do is to get people that maybe not your patients, they're not your customers already, to have a purpose to come to you. What are you doing to set yourself apart from the 2 for $99 down the road, or buy one get one free? Make yourself different, set yourself apart, where somebody goes, actually, do you know what? I'm going to go there. And then by doing that, what you'll end up doing is, as we find, if you can support somebody that may be a little bit older, you're more likely to get the family members, their children, who's then bringing their children through, which is obviously what you're after at the end of the day.
I think sometimes we do get hung up with price, especially with low vision aids and things. We sort of think, oh no, we can't. You know, maybe you know, if that aid is hitting a 4-figure sum, for example, we might think, oh no, we can't actually offer that because, you know, but we're quite comfortable doing glasses for £500, £600, £700 easily. You know, very focals, all of that side of things. But we do sometimes struggle. So it's important to give them choice, I would think.
100%, and I think the price argument is, like, don't get me wrong, I'm from a Midlands mining town, so like I'm not going to come in here and say, oh, money doesn't matter, but to
money definitely matters.
Exactly, but it's all about the value. If you've got, like you say, if you've got a product that's £1,000, but it enables somebody to continue reading their favorite book, to be able to continue their independence, I think we've all found over the past 7 and 8 weeks how if you'd have given me a solution where to some of the things that we've not been able to do, and it had cost me £3,000 to go and see family members, I think we'd have all taken it. We'd have been like, money wouldn't have been an issue. So I think it's making it all about the value, but 100% it's about giving people the option. And I think now that audiology's gone into practice and people are buying hearing aids at £1,500, £2,000, £3,000, I just think it's just about education, and people have just not used to, or they just don't know that this is what the devices cost. They're not expensive. It's just that that's how much they cost.
Okay.
Great. Yeah, it's interesting. Somebody was saying to me the other day that in terms of holidays, you don't, if you have a really bad holiday, you remember every single thing about it, don't you? How much you paid, that you paid for the taxi, you paid for this, you paid for that. It all adds up in your head. But if you have a really good holiday, do you actually remember what you spent and where you spent it? Because actually it's the experience, it's the whole thing. You actually think, well, I had a really good time and that was it, and you don't actually remember. But if you had a bad time, you remember every single penny you spent because you're logging it and thinking, oh, that's another 20 quid I spent there, that's another 50 quid I had to pay for the taxi from the airport, all this sort of stuff. So again, it's experience and providing that retail environment and customer focusing exactly that. Okay. Is Bob still with us, Nathan?
Yes, I think his camera's just dropped out. But so I have a question for Dave. Actually, was
Go for it. Yeah.
With returning to work, obviously now we've now got, probably opticians are now thinking, a lot of them have got a date where they know they can bring people back. What would your advice be to people, sort of, if there's one single bit of advice? Because I'd imagine a lot of people are probably feeling a bit anxious. I know a friend of mine who works in retail and he's anxious about going back. What advice would you give?
I think the most therapeutic thing to do is to talk about it with people that you trust. And hopefully those folks will be good listeners and let you talk without immediately trying to solve the problem or maybe diminish your problem. So find a good listener and talk about the anxiety that you're feeling, and particularly with mild anxiety, low levels of depression, that kind of externalizing things by talking about it can be tremendously helpful. Another thing which is really useful is writing about it. There's some evidence that keeping a journal can be, for some people, a lot more useful and therapeutic than talking. So those two things, get what's inside out. And the other thing I think, which is really brilliant for anxiety and depression, is regular and slightly stretching exercise. So if you're a jogger, jog. If you're if you do other things, do other things. But I like to say to folks, look, don't drive to work, park outside and fall in the door. Park half a mile away, walk the rest of the way, and then walk. You've walked a mile that day, which you wouldn't have walked otherwise. And just that physical activity really has a big bounce in terms of, I think, inwardly self-confidence, the feeling that you're in charge of yourself, which is one of the things that is eroded with anxiety. But if you've got somebody who's a good listener, that's a tremendously therapeutic thing to do.
Brilliant. Okay. Jay Shree, there's a few more questions for Nick here, quite a few. I don't know if you want to pick one.
Let's just have a look and see what I can find. Let's look. There was a couple about the actual drops themselves, Nick. Can the drops be used with contact lenses?
Yeah. To expand on that, in fact, we did a good study with the drops with contact lens wearers, particularly useful on the back surface, on the inside of the lens, if you like, before you put the lens in. Because it's mucomimetic, it sits on the ocular surface. We did a study with a number of practitioners in the UK, and they generally found their patients got a couple of hours extra wearing time through putting the drop on the inside of the lens in the morning. You'd expect it to improve the initial comfort, but it was quite surprising and impressive that it actually can extend the overall wearing time for some wearers. And I think that we hypothesise that that's down to the mucomimetic characteristics of TSP.
Great, good stuff.
So everyone's been a bit shy today, so we haven't had any hands put up to talk directly to us, but there's been a lot of questions, so that's good. I'm just to see if there's any more here. Another one probably for Nick. Easy drops, are they sized? There's a different sizes for adults, children, or babies?
So this is for Bob.
That's for Bob.
Oh, sorry, easy drops. Yeah, Bob, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
we can hear you. We can't see you.
Oh, okay.
I've come off so that you can come on.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. Shall I just talk anyway?
Yeah, talk away.
Yeah. So basically, it's a single size fits all. So as you know, the sort of structure of the eye, is pretty much static as you go from sort of being a child to an adult. So the way we've designed it, it's got ample sort of room, but closely fits around the eye to lock out any light, and so you don't see any drops actually coming in either. So it's a single size fits all basically. There's no sort of small, medium, or large.
There's part of the same question as well. Right. Are these available from wholesalers?
So I'm literally trying to talk to wholesalers at the moment. So if anyone's got any directions on which wholesalers to approach for trade, I'll be happy to talk to them.
Bob, we can have a conversation afterwards. I can help you with that.
Okay, cool.
Good stuff.
Excellent.
Great stuff. These are the connections that can be made, you know, when we're talking about these sorts of things. So that's great. I've got a question for Dan from me. Dan, with you working with locum optometrists and hopefully dispensing opticians as well, I'll put my little plug in there for dispensing opticians.
Yeah, of course.
How are you finding the mental health situation? Because you obviously do talk to people, you know, and it must be a tough time for locums at the moment.
Yeah, locums have had the raw end of the deal. There's zero government support for locums. Particularly a lot of locums are limited companies, but anyway, they would fall outside of maybe the profit for self-employed support. And not only, I mean, locums have had a hard time, but not only that, there have been some companies making quite challenging decisions with regards to maybe taking people back on furlough. So if someone's left a business, government advice was to go back to your previous employer. So yeah, I'm spending a lot of my day coaching people as best I can through this situation, and there's not many answers. I'll be honest, you know. So definitely and the longer it goes on, the tougher it gets, financially, emotionally. So yeah, there's definitely a challenging time for the whole industry. Yeah, and yeah, very much in close contact with that. And if anyone does want to call, I mean, obviously Dave would be your man, but yeah, I'm always more than happy to chat to people. I've, you know, had my own challenges with regards to mental health, I guess, and so I can relate to people. I'm more than happy to speak. Give my mobile a call. I'll put my mobile number on there.
Oh, that's great, thank you. And my pet little thing, are DOs going to be involved in this Oculus situation?
So DOs are already able to log in and use Oculus. We're just going through some development at the moment to broaden the job categories and refine the system for DOs. So DOs, managers, optical assistants, within the next couple of weeks, contact lens opticians, audiologists as well. So if you need any temporary staff, the system will work for everyone.
Brilliant, good stuff. Okay. Any other questions on there now left, Nathan? Have we covered everything or not? Where are we?
One's just come in. Never been to 100% optical. I've always wanted to attend, but always for one reason or another something's come up. So it's good to go to see this webinar and see snippets of products and services for opticians. So, well, that's great, because that's kind of what we were trying to achieve here, is obviously without any events being able to run, then there is a bit of a problem getting products to market. So hopefully that's what we want to do with this. It won't be a substitute for 100% optical in January, because by then I think the events industry will have learned how to social distance as everyone else has done, and I suspect, you know, we'll be well versed in how we do that at 100% optical in January. So I'm not too worried about running the show. I think it will be on at the end of January, and actually I think everyone will be probably relieved and delighted to be able to go back to an event. So we'll have had a year without any. So yeah, so fingers crossed. But so that's good feedback.
Great stuff.
So I think with that, I'm going to say thank you very much to all of you for taking part.
I've got one thing to add, Nathan. I've got one thing to add, and Dave said it. Dave said it while he was talking, and that is a clear action plan. Okay, those are the words that came ringing out to me. You know, a clear action plan, and I think that's what we need to do. All of us, all of the pictures are now giving you direction of a clear action plan of how to make a difference to your business, okay, and to your mental health and your well-being, and that's what part of this platform is all about. It's actually bringing you products that are a bit different, services that are a bit different, but hopefully that will help you in moving forward in this new norm that we're coming up to. So thanks very much for attending.
Brilliant. And just to say as well, so thank you very much all of you and for your contribution and working on those. I know 5 minutes is a challenge, and as we were saying earlier, actually it actually makes you think what you want to say and get across. So well done to everybody. I'm just going to share now the screen just to finish off, and obviously if you want to go back and rewatch these, or if you missed the last one, they're all on our go-to demand platform on free on-demand webinars, so you can go and rewatch those if you want. And also, just as we finish, there is a survey which would be very grateful if you could fill that out for us. So especially if you want people to contact you with more information about anything you've heard today. So thank you very much. I think we're going to be doing another one of these in a week's time. So thank you for your feedback. I'm getting great response on comments on here. So thank you for everyone for attending as well. And hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Cheers, everyone. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.